Matt McCusker, thank you for being here on the James Donald Forbes McCann
Hey,
Catamaran.
oh my God.
We just get straight into it. We make it happen. It's an honor. You're easily the best. You're the most successful guest we've ever had on the show.
Dude, I appreciate that.
And it's an honor.
Thank you so much,
And
man.
I have now something to talk to you about.
Let's have it.
All right. Well, when I came to America, I'm taking the hat off. It's too formal. When I came to America, I had a plan of I made a list of all the interesting people in America and the world, and I thought, why not just get in contact with all of those people and have them on the show?
It's a good idea.
Well, I've wrote some of them letters and they didn't all get back to me. But you're in a weird position at the moment because you've got a huge podcast, the structure of which has recently changed, and you're doing a lot more solo interviews. And I believe in no good idea wasted, even if I can't use it for me to have a boat.
Okay.
I would like to today pitch to you. I was going to save this until halfway through. I was going to open with chit chat. I'm too excited. This is my idea. I was going to have champagne, and I didn't do it in time.
That's
so
fine.
this is champagne podcasting.
Really?
Of just ideas that you could have. I've got at first a list of people who you shouldn't have for champagne comedy, who you wouldn't need.
Wait, so champagne comedy is the theme of it?
Champagne podcasting.
Okay.
There was an old sketch of champagne sketch comedy where they did a bad sketch on an Australian TV show and they kept having suits. I was going to do all of that, and I didn't do any of that. We had a rough night. We had a rough night with the kids.
Yeah, I didn't sleep much either last night.
Oh, boy. But you're a great interviewer is the first thing.
I can't tell.
Glenn Lowry. No, I loved it.
Glenn was fun. That was fun. That one felt good.
The musician who I'd never heard of before.
Marcus King.
Yes.
Yeah, he was great too.
He Pearls came out. You're very natural. I'm not a good interviewer. Something else that I
don't know if I am. I appreciate that. I'm like disassociated for the first 10 minutes.
I think
you meet someone for the
getting
first time.
Glenn's book wrong was powerful. Having gone to all the effort of read it, but that's a strong move. I think
it wasn't a move. I just said the wrong title.
No, I enjoyed it.
But I have been like, if I over prepare, it puts you in a weird area. If you're kind of like, I got to remember this. If I do that for anything, for stand up, it fucks me up. You have to just like chill.
Well, look, some people can do it. In a comedy setting, no one does that well. Lex Friedman is not trying to be funny.
Yeah,
he has his suit and his questions. There's an Indian guy who's great at the moment. Have you seen this Indian guy?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I want to break into that space of being like ultra serious. Okay, let's go. Is that champagne?
This is champagne podcasting. All right, so here's what's not on the list.
Okay.
Is anyone who is a big guest that people usually get, because they're a huge podcast guests,
Yeah.
and it's like a marquee episode. It's not to say don't get those people, but that, like Jordan Peterson,
Yeah.
who I got to meet a couple of weeks ago, lovely fella. He will do everyone's podcast.
Yeah.
That's his thing. He's a podcast guest.
Really?
He goes on so many podcasts. Every week, there's like 3 new Jordan Peterson podcasts.
Yeah, he does actually.
And every time I see him, I'm like, great.
Yeah.
I'll hear Theo Von talking to Jordan Peterson. But it's still, you go, I believe that happened. Champagne podcasting is about entering into unreality.
Okay.
With people who are but I think you can do it.
Yeah.
At least with some of them. It's a long list. Other ones, Alex Jones, what a great guest.
Trying to get him.
You could.
Yeah.
If you got Alex Jones, people would go, yes.
That would be good.
But they wouldn't.
He's on my list right now.
They wouldn't think they were living in a parallel universe anymore. They would think, that's great that Matt got Alex Jones.
That makes sense. You're saying if I had like Mark Cuban on, it would seem kind of strange. If I had like Kamala Harris on,
That's what I'm talking about.
that would be kind of just, yeah.
But then it has to be a world. There have to be people that are gettable. It still has to be doable. This is the weird Venn diagram of what is on the very peripheral of possible podcast guests. I'll just whip through the ones that I didn't put down. So they also have to be so broad that everyone would know them. You can see the list. Slavoj Žižek would be great.
He'd be great. I have a hard time understanding him though.
Yes.
But I love when I see him. I just like watching him just kind of like do his thing. And
As a spectacle, it would be
true.
crazy. Who else? Kanye, he's going to go on everyone. David Lynch, Shia LaBeouf. Now, some of these would be great, but too niche. I think Eckhart Tolle would be very good for you.
He'd be great, actually. Good call.
I don't know if you know Camille
Paglia. Yeah, I know her.
She's a big tick.
She'd be good.
And anyone who can or would normally go on the Joe Rogan show as a huge guest, I'm putting out. He's got that. You should get it. It's just not the list.
RHCP would be nice.
Red Hot Chili Peppers would be magical.
But who? I guess they'd only send probably Anthony Kiedis and maybe Flea.
You'd want John Frusciante to get along.
I would want him too, yeah.
You might have to go to Chad's house.
3? Dude, musicians are tough though because they're not like used to talking that much.
No.
So they're very comfortable with being like, yeah, man. And you're like, Come on, man. Say something fucking funny.
I mean, some are great.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have the Gallaghers here. Do you have Oasis? You know the band Oasis?
Oasis, yeah.
They gave the best interviews. Seemingly none of them made it across to America. But they hated each other and they would just bicker and with the brothers.
Hanson would be good.
Did I put Hanson on this list?
No, Hanson's not on, but Hanson would be
I tell you, Hanson's on a separate list because I was looking them up last night.
Is that Benjamin Netanyahu?
Yeah. He's not on this, but I think a world leader.
One of them, yeah.
Because like Putin went on Tucker and that everyone went, that's incredible.
True.
But I was thinking maybe in that vein, someone like that Syria guy, like someone who's definitely committed atrocities.
Like the head of like Hamas, basically, or like.
Well, he's now exploded, I believe.
He's exploded.
I think they got him, but yeah, someone like that.
Is there like, do they have like a thing almost like Game of Thrones where there's like a 12-year-old who like takes like Succession or like?
Yeah, but he's also been exploded.
They exploded him too?
I saw the list. No. I think it was the whatever the what is it called? The one in Lebanon. Not Hezbollah, Hezbollah, and had their chain structure, and like 5 levels down, they're down to like the 2 ICs have been exploded. It's team managers now.
Oh, okay. So now
and
it's like they got down to like middle management.
There is no one left to explode. The HR lady, the lady who's bringing out the tea.
Damn. So they dismantled Hamas. I wasn't even. They did it right under my fucking nose.
It happened very fast.
I wasn't paying attention.
And then I've been trying to read the Lebanese newspapers about it. It's very hard to understand.
What are they saying about it?
The word martyrdom is used a lot.
Yeah.
Which...
So it seems like they're going to fill the slot pretty quickly then.
What's weird is the religious leaders in Lebanon have had so much like inter-religious fighting that even like the Greek Orthodox patriarch will have like, you know, all these like Muslim extremists have been exploded. But it's important to not make people hate Greek Orthodox people in Lebanon that he go... We've all got to stand together. Come on, everybody. One team.
So they're siding with basically...
vague national unity.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very strange to watch.
That is weird. But they just don't want to come out and be like... Because they can't celebrate. If they start celebrating, everyone's going to be like, what the fuck are you guys smiling about?
You're next, Greeks.
We'll blow you guys up. Yeah, that's...
the Jews of the Mediterranean. That's also the Jews.
Just the Jews.
But of all the Mediterranean peoples, I think the Greeks most. Yeah,
they're
ancient culture, hairy.
I mean, that goes back. You know, that was like Alexander the Great and everything.
Yeah.
Who was the what was the big empire? Byzantine.
Oh yeah.
They've been in a weird position.
They were
for
Greek
a long
speaking.
Time.
Yeah, very slow decline.
Yeah.
If we can get anyone from the Byzantine Empire to come on, that would be exquisite. Now, there are some people who I think you've burnt a bridge, the 3 bills. Gates, Clinton, Cosby. It would be very hard. I've heard your podcast. None of them will come on.
It'd be fun to get Bill Gates on and pie him again.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Did you see when he got pied?
No, I didn't.
He got a pie. Shane showed me the video of him walking into a meeting in like the early 90s and someone hit him with a cream pie. Not, you know.
Yeah.
They hit him with like an actual...
A pie of cream.
Yes, in the face.
Do you know Tim Gunn?
No, who is that?
He's the host of Project Runway. He can be on my list.
That'd be kind of nice.
He's a celibate, a very camp man. He gave up sex in the 90s.
Wait, but he just hosts Project Runway?
Yeah,
so
he loves fashion, and he talks like this, and he goes to the designers. So it's all designing of clothes.
Is he a gay man?
Yes, but he doesn't have any gay intercourse.
Okay.
He's celibate.
So he surrounds himself with beautiful female models now?
Yes.
All right.
He's living but he's so caring and compassionate, and people have all these stories about Tim Gunn. He doesn't do a lot of media, but whenever he turns up, it's like he helped an old lady with a bag on a plane.
Why did he say why he started to practice? I
think it was the AIDS crisis, and he found that sex wasn't necessary for him to be a happy person. I mean, I'd want to talk to him about that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Tom Jones. Now here's a big one. Here's an important one. Jimmy Fallon, on the condition that you would never go on Jimmy Fallon.
I think I can do that.
Right, because
I can pull that off.
That's the power move. Yeah. No, because you could. If you wanted to go on Jimmy Fallon, you could easily do it.
I think so.
But imagine you're a podcast guy. You never go on Fallon. He comes to you. And that gives you, then you are the mainstream.
It's
Jimmy
very
Fallon is a supplement. I've really thought about that one. We might have to. We'll take this episode down if that actually does happen, because we don't. I really thought about it. I stayed up all last night.
He's too silly, man. I don't know. He would get too silly, and I would have a tough time. I think. I heard he's a super nice dude.
Well, I winnowed it down to who I thought would be the
I'm trying to get into
the
serious
easiest of all the
podcasting. This guy's he's a buffoon.
Yes.
I want to get into serious
You don't want
podcasting.
Colbert coming on and
I want to talk about nuclear threats and AI.
Let's get to the serious list. And a lot of these are not high-class intellectuals.
Okay.
I'm keeping the list
I won't look,
over here. All right. Greta Thunberg would be a tremendous guest.
That would be great.
I've seen her give interviews. I saw her sail around the world with some Australians.
Did she really?
Yeah, she was trying to get from Europe to America without flying for a climate thing.
She was on a sail.
She said, "Who can sail me?" And there's an Australian vlogging family who have a boat, and in winter they sail across the Atlantic Ocean with Greta Thunberg and her father.
Right, so she's fighting climate change by basically
really showing how untenable flight is. Sorry, how untenable replacing flight, because there are storms, everyone's terrified, it takes weeks.
That's crazy.
The Aussie dads in the bunker going, I don't want to let Greta know how dangerous this is, but we're in real trouble.
Yeah, that's like really fucking terrifying.
It's excellent. And she's
Did
human.
she pull it off?
They get there.
Okay.
Yeah, she's very seasick. And her father's like, well, I just love my daughters, and one wants to be a ballerina. I try and make that happen, and the other likes.
What kind of craft are they? What are they piloting?
It's a catamaran. These are the people I started watching. Sailing the Vagabond. It's such a good episode.
Captaining, I should say.
Well,
how big are catamarans?
They can be of many different. I've been on a $10 million. I've seen a $10 million one, and that's huge.
With a sail.
With a, yes, I believe it had a sail as well.
Backup motor or no?
Huge motors.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I saw a big one with a sail that was 1.6 million. I went to a boat show by accident when I was in Sydney.
Is it like the Mayflower? Like, is it a giant like ship with a sail, or like?
They are. It's two hulls. Looks more like a luxury vehicle.
Okay, got you.
But theirs is like very bare bones. Looks like a racing craft. Looks like an America's Cup.
Yeah.
Type thing. But yeah, it's not like a fancy boat that they're taking. It's not. There's not like a huge crew. There's 4 guys in the middle of the ocean. Storms are coming. And everyone's terrified. There's a baby below deck. It would be nice to have enough money to have. But that's, anyway.
Yeah, but why would you put your family at risk of, like, sinking?
Man, this is the problem with the family vloggers.
Yeah.
Is that the family allows you to, like, keep making the content.
True.
Well, the family allows you to make the content. The content gives you the money to live the lifestyle.
True.
And then usually one partner hates it. I don't know if you've ever gotten into the family vlogging people.
No, I've never. It kind of freaks me out, honestly. It seems like a really weird space to get into.
Yeah.
Like to subject, basically like Joe Jackson, your kids from the start. And your whole family becomes like a product is like.
Yes.
Kind of a weird. And again,
it's also who the product is for, because sometimes the children are shot in a. They've done, people do studies and go through their numbers and they go, man, a lot of my Patreon subscribers are in prison. What's going on with that? Maybe they're in the part of the prison where you're really not meant to have any access to children. And this is then part of the system. It's the ickiest thing. Now there's a movement fighting back against it. My wife has been reading about it, to boycott family vloggers who show their children. You can still have a family vlog, but if the children are in the video at all, you boycott.
Yeah, you gotta like blur their face or something.
Yes.
Yeah, but how are you gonna have a family vlog without your children in there?
Oh yeah, they don't do well.
Why don't they just do a disclaimer? Be like, warning, it's under like how they do the FBI like warning. Do not.
If you are a pedophile, do not watch my video.
Do not fap to my family travel vlog. They could be like just impose a fine for that.
If you fapping?
If you copy it, if you pirate it, or if you fap.
I think this is the problem. Is that how are we going?
The FBI fines you $10,000. I mean, how are they gonna know you pirated the video? They don't know.
You don't even have to pirate it. It's all there. It's all there. What was weird? Oh man, what was weird with?
I think they should do a disclaimer at the beginning of the video, like, "Hey, we're taking the boat. We're going to Tasmania. By the way, if you think my kids are looking good, please, for the love of God, don't be a disgusting pig and masturbate to the image."
And that's the beauty of pedophiles, is they have so many problems, but they are men of their word. And if you have a compact. That they're not to do that.
Yeah, but like Scouts honor.
Yeah, they respect some boundaries so little that there are other boundaries that they take extremely seriously. But I think if you had the climate change chat, if you humanize Greta Thunberg, that's a real thing.
It'd be fun. Yeah, I like sometimes don't even think she's real. I think she might not even exist. I'm just trying to goad her into like proving her existence on the podcast.
I think.
See what I'm doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Greta,
I don't
if
think
you are
she's
real,
and I don't think climate change is real.
There you go.
I'm just trying to get it. Yeah.
Well, she's pivoting off climate change toward Palestine now, I think.
She's a free Palestine?
Yeah, she's a free Palestine.
She better fucking sail over there, man. They're fucking losing. She's got to get over there. So she's away from climate change into Palestine now?
I think she's doing this whole, it's an intersectional problem and we need to address all problems at once.
Wait, yeah, does she not care about Ukraine? Like, what the fuck? I kind of take offense to that.
It would be funny if that was her weird thing and she didn't talk about it. She was like, obviously Tibet must be destroyed.
There's a pop. I never knew of this lady. She's a pop sensation right now. Chappelle something?
Oh, Chapel Roan.
Yeah. And she didn't say she would support Kamala or
no, she said she'd vote for her,
but wouldn't endorse her.
Wouldn't endorse her.
Isn't that endorsing her? And it's like they put the full like weight of their like propaganda, like liberal propaganda machine on her, being like, what the fuck is her deal?
Well, I mean, it was naive on her part to think that the mainstream media was going to build up a kooky lesbian with access to all the young children and hip voters, and that she wasn't going to fall in line and full-throatedly endorse Kamala.
They're for real, like whipping her right now. They're basically like SNL's roasting her. They're being like
it's a high-tech lynching.
Yeah,
which brings me on to my next person on the list, which was Clarence Thomas. I don't
know if I could get him, man.
Why?
He's so old.
He's hip. He'd have AIDS.
He's what?
Sorry. People who help him.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
You got the scoop right here.
Clarence, he'd be a dream guest, but I don't know. I don't know if I could hit it off. Or the thing too I got to think about is like, what is the vibe going to be like
with Clarence Thomas?
Yeah,
he's a cool dude.
I know he's a cool guy, but it's like,
yeah,
I don't know if I'd be able to vibe with him, dude. It's like when they're like an old. I learned from Glenn Lowry, like he's a cool old black dude, and it's like I just thought we'd vibe harder than we did. Honestly, if I'm being honest, we had a great conversation, but I was hoping to vibe like outside the interview, and I don't think that was the case. I think
I don't think there is a white man who can more vibe with these black conservatives that I know of.
True.
Now. Maybe Gary Owen starts to open up the books and has some questions about liberalism. But
Gary Owens, he's dealing with his own stuff. He's right now kind of...
Is he? Is he going through a hard time?
Yeah, he's going through a tough time.
Shout out, Gary.
T's and P's.
Yes.
No, why?
Room at the top for me to finally be the most famous white guy with black people.
True.
It was never going to happen.
It's over. I mean, it is. Yeah, it is.
King Gary.
It is the skulls of everyone who's tried. He's one of these now among them.
Yeah, it's a hard King of the Ring. It's a difficult thing. Well, if you think you wouldn't vibe with Clarence Thomas, we can take him out.
It's a potential.
I'm just shooting, justice.
Yeah. He'd be great. I'm just kind of like voicing my reservations.
One exciting thing about him is that he is accused of being a black nationalist.
Yeah.
And people his actual just no one.
Why is he? Who accuses him of that?
People on the left who secretly like him, who are they're like, it wouldn't be Killer Mike, but that weird Killer Mike, pro-black, sort of conservative, but like the argument that some things were better under segregation. We had our own communities, we were looking after each other,
like Dr. Umar, pretty much.
Yes, and that like, what's the I'm forgetting
I know what you're talking about. It's one
bubbling in the mother country's crotch. It's not The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. It's his other big poem, Gil Scott-Heron.
I don't know.
Where he's like, the white liberals, their cause is not our... They want fucking in the street and marijuana and to get out of Vietnam. I want a wife and some children and some food to feed them at night.
Yeah.
So there is like that sort of left-wing, pro-community left-wing rather than like the internationalist progressives that I don't think anyone else could get in there and talk about with him in an interesting way. But you know about that. You have the insight into black conservatives. True. I don't know anyone else who knows about this.
True. Black conservatives are an absolute niche.
It's the most fascinating segment in America that I have.
Well, a lot of black people are conservative.
Yeah.
It's just the national politics.
Well, it doesn't help the national political grift at all.
Yeah.
And also black conservatives don't want to be, just by and large, they don't want to be seen as like, the whole point of it is we're not like one of your groups that you can use in that way.
Well, it's like the whitest thing you can be as a Republican, so it's like instantly rejected. That's just my feeling. But I don't know, then Trump got shot and it was like, damn. It's kind of cool.
They hit him with charges. They hit him with some trumped up charges, and then they shot him.
Exactly. And now, dude, did you see the Kamala's interview? Kamala did an organic podcast interview.
No.
You should watch.
What,
it.
with Oprah?
No, she did it on I think it's called All the Smoke podcast.
She did a podcast called All the Smoke.
And it's she's just your regular kind of country.
Are they
bumpkin.
hitting the blunt?
No, not hitting the. No, there's no smoking. I don't think. I never watched the podcast. I don't know if they smoke blunts during the podcast or not. I don't think they do.
I was picturing her down in Bill Maher's.
If she hit the blunt,
fucking rape dungeon that he's doing his podcast in, where everyone's.
I don't know what he's up to.
Things are covered in silk and the lights are weird.
He just slowly intoxicates himself and he's like, "Tell me, I don't know what the fuck's going on."
You rule, Kamala. You're very fine.
I saw a theory that Kamala Harris is always drunk. I don't want to spread vicious rumors, but when you have that in your mind and you watch her talk, you're like, she does sound like she just had 3 martinis every time she talks.
She's doing wine mum extremely well. I don't know if that's an expression here, wine mum.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we have it.
Yeah. She's out having a good night with the girls.
Yeah.
Which also gives the impression it's smart for her to seem drunk in that particular way. Because if a man is drunk, or if someone is really degenerate drunk, you think, oh, he's not doing very much. But she seems drunk in the specific way that a woman who says she works hard all the time gets drunk.
Yeah.
It's just she's always like that. But then instinctively I go, oh, she must be working very hard. She must be like, this is her kicking off her heels when she's talking to us. Really? America.
I think I look at it and I see her like, oh, she's just like in an alcohol stupor powering through just probably a pretty stressful event. I mean, no one ever puts themselves in her shoes.
Yeah.
She was thrust. I mean, she was already on the national stage, but she was kind of like out of the way. And now she was just like thrust into the spotlight.
Yeah.
She needs to have 3 martinis to do all this. I'm not trying to say that's exactly
well, they had been trying to thrust her into the spotlight for ages. I don't know if that lamp is covering your face.
I just thought about that, actually. I just thought I don't think so. I think
it is. It's terrible.
I didn't notice that the whole time that I looked over.
We're still going. Otherwise,
that's great.
All right.
That's great. What an unveiling. But yeah, man, I don't want to spread vicious rumors, but I do. I think we should speculate into all the potentials with someone who might lead this great nation. I think she might.
Wouldn't it be great to know what she thinks about anything?
Yeah, that would be kind of nice.
Now, hold on. I'm also turning that air conditioner on low because I can feel the warmth. Kamala would be great. I don't think she's going to be very protective about the interviews she gives.
Yeah, that one you can see the edit jumps in the one she did, which I'm sure they're not gonna do like an unedited version of her podcast, but I think they're trying to like organify her, and I think that was them being like, oh yeah, watch how cool and natural she can be, and they did, and it is. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I don't want to just be like a hater on her, but I'm just not buying it, man. When I watch her talk, I'm like. She was like, I love the Golden State Warriors so much. And you're like, do you?
Yeah.
I call them my Warriors. Do you really have a passion? Are you just all just a contrived bullshit thing? Or like, do you for real, like in between being like, I need to save all of these children. Let me put my feet up and watch my beloved Golden State Warriors. It's like, dude, are you just making this up?
But this is, I think, I didn't realize this about Americans.
I don't know.
Here. The extent to which everybody seems to just vote because they hate the other guy.
That's a relatively new thing.
All right, but certainly all the Trump elections, Hillary was that unpalatable that people were happy to go with him.
Yeah, man.
Everyone who's voting for Biden, I don't think surely no one was showing up going,
yeah,
I'm enthusiastic to give my vote to Biden, but they didn't want Trump, the people who did that.
Yeah.
And now the joy of Kamala is that she's no one. That's actually her greatest. You've reached the point in like party politics and the court spectacle where it's like she's an image.
Yeah.
That if you want her to be left wing, she's very progressive, and he's calling her a communist. If you want her to be right wing, she locked up a lot of young black men for scanty marijuana violations.
Proudly carries a gun.
Proudly carries a gun, but also doesn't think any of us should have one. You know? I know. So it's really, that's beautiful it's very hard to hate her. And to the extent that no one, other than being like revolted by something that's inhuman, there's almost nothing to hold on to. At the mothership, people are still doing Biden material.
Yeah.
You know? But what
He's done.
Almost no one can do. Sam Talent had one good. He's the first one that I saw get Kamala.
Really?
A little bit.
Did he have to get drunk before doing it?
I think he might have said it accidentally and then doubled down. But he was like, if she just said faggot or retard, she'd win.
Oh, I thought you said he did a impression.
Oh no, that would be great.
Yeah, because it's no, I don't know. I don't know.
He just had something to say about her at all.
There's nothing to say other than the fact that she's like kind of like a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's fair to say, but I do feel like, and that's the thing too. They're like, well, everybody code switches. It's like, I don't know, dude. I've never really put on like a wildly different accent. I might if that, I didn't know that was on the table.
You didn't know that was an option?
Yeah, I could just be like, shit, me and my granddad. Like, I didn't know I was allowed to do that. Apparently, it's like a totally natural thing to do.
What a better time you would have had at so many family barbecues over the years. Code switching, code switching. I'm going to switch codes.
Quentin Tarantino does that too.
Does he?
Wildly, dude.
I didn't know that.
Oh my God. In a way that's almost like, are you fucking around? Do you ever see the video of him doing that?
No.
Dude, it's wild. Yeah, you got to watch him doing that.
That's a guy who drops the N when he's with his boys, having a nice time.
I mean,
but only with his black friends.
Like writing scripts?
He would be the opposite.
He does.
No, I mean, he would be, I'm with Sam Jackson, and that's when we call each other that. But when I'm with the whites, I would never.
I don't think he would. Although he
was on the list because he's a great interview.
He'd be great.
It would be. You could actually get him.
Yeah, he was just on Bill Maher's Sex Dungeon too, wasn't he?
Yes,
Bill Maher's Club Sex Dungeon.
And he was very, and here's a weird. Quentin Tarantino on so many things is a progressive. I think he's like a very hardline pro-Israel guy, which is possibly why he went on Bill Maher's Sex Dungeon. But I believe he spends like 6 months a year in Israel.
Does he really?
Yeah. I'm going to fact check that.
Yeah, maybe you go there and I know one of my friends went there to play soccer and he was like, bro, it rules.
Yeah.
So maybe it's one of those things.
I think they show you a good time.
Yeah, I think. I think when you go, also too, you can go. I know you can go for free. If you're Jewish,
if
you
you're
can
Jewish,
go for free. Yeah.
I'm trying to. What are they? Right of return or birthright?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, birthright.
My dad was a He is a journalist in Australia. He writes things, and the Israeli government flew him over with like the top politicians to.
That's awesome.
Have a nice time.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, it sounds. Why? See, if the people in Gaza would just open up their luxury resorts and all their beautiful grass tennis courts, I think they could win more international approval.
Yeah, true.
No, they don't have them.
I know. Yeah, I mean, it is Israel's a tricky one, man, because there is like I don't know, dude. And look, I'm not saying this gleefully. There is something. I've said this before. There's something about like the word Jew that almost like phonetically induces kind of like it just rings so well. If you want to be nasty, you can be like, there's no other group of people you can refer to with that kind of like echoing phonetic structure of just being like Jew. If you want to be like pissed off, like you can't Chinese. It doesn't work like Chinese.
No.
Jew. There's something like you can really sink your teeth into that word if you want to be.
I'd
like
say something about South African does conjure up a lot of unpleasantness.
Yeah.
But even then, it's the Jewish South Africans in Australia that we most resent.
Really?
We got a lot of them coming over after apartheid. So most of our Jewish people in Sydney are
Jewish South
African.
Huh.
Yeah.
So what's like? I'm talking
about
those
two. In terms of the sound of the word, cellar-door. No, just like the word alone can be some sort of slur. But yes. I mean, what's that?
You can sink your teeth into it, is what I'm saying. If you really
everything else has to be a slur, and I think there's a Louis C.K. bit about that's the only one that it is its own slur. But like with Japanese people, no one says Japanese. There would be like there are 4 other words you can use.
I guess they shorten it. Yeah.
They're angry. Hold on. I'm trying to think of a demonym that's hateful sounding.
I think it's got to be. I think it's. You know what it is? It's the single syllable.
Mongol.
Yeah.
Mongoloid? Nah, actually...
Mongols? You never say it with hate, like these Mongol. Unless you were like a Chinese emperor.
Tibet!
These fucking Mongols. Yeah, again, look, I don't want to invite kind of nastiness, but...
He's a Kazakh. Greek? No, nothing.
Nothing at all. And it's a single syllable, too. Kurd? I could see Kurds being like, fucking Kurds.
Man, the Kurds have a case to answer. I've been doing a deep dive on the Kurds.
I heard they're kind of chill, aren't they, or no?
Until it comes to the topic of their daughters' clitorises.
Oh, they're still doing that?
They're doing that. I know. Kurds.
That was the one thing when I went to social work school. When I was around like rabid feminists.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but there was a lot of them there who were just waiting to like sink their teeth into like social issues publicly. And when we started talking Middle East, and I brought up female genital mutilation, silent. They'd be like, "Well, that's not my place to talk." I'm like, "Really?
I think it should be."
You're saying you for some reason if I just fly a plane, I can just start cutting up ladies' vaginas because I live somewhere else? Like your morals stop at international boundaries? Like that was crazy.
It's no coherent.
You just can't do it.
Yeah.
Like it's a bad idea.
Man,
They wouldn't say that. They would be like, whatever their issues were here, they were just all gung ho. And I was like, dude, they scoop them out.
There's a scooping.
Yeah, dude.
There are 3 stages of it. They're all bad.
Dude, yeah, it's like the stitching. They kind of stitch it together and then they cut the thing out. And it's like, and actually the husband apparently has to bust through the stitches the night of the wedding day to like prove his like virility. Which, all right, I mean, I could see that. But no, it's like, dude, that blew my mind. To be like, really? You're just going to be like, that's not my place to talk about that. I'm like, well, what the fuck? Do you think that all this other shit's your place to talk about?
I mean, what can you...
what could you do?
You have to have a worldview to get stuck in that the West is so like supreme and bad. You have to live in like the 19th century when empires are colonizing Africa and they have all the power and force. We're not there. Like the West is in decline. It doesn't. Like the Chinese are the global superpower economically. Not
I don't buy
militarily.
it, man. I don't buy it.
You don't think so?
No, I don't buy it. I don't.
They're working so hard.
I have not looked at any of the numbers.
I believe they might collapse, but if their trends are true, if they're telling the truth about what they're building and doing, then like that whole thing about like being funny and punching up is about like who has the control and the power and the influence. Yeah. So we should all just be out doing Chinese accents? Well, that doesn't make sense with their narrative. But
I know what you're saying. Yeah, they can't. Yeah, you can't. If it is a thing of power and domination, if you can prove on paper that the whites have fallen, like we should all start. Just
whites should be off limits.
Yeah, true.
As they crumble, and we've got to help lift them up through this difficult time for them.
Just to lift them up back above the Chinese state, and then you can just it could be open season.
There's do you know about? I think it's called Sooty. I might be getting that wrong, but this was where the Indians would burn their wives when they died. That like if you died, the community would come together and set your wife on fire.
Oh yeah.
And they
instead
would
of
say,
like burying her with you, they would just burn her alive.
I think they'd burn her alive, and the British stopped it, and the Indians said, "This is our culture," and the British said, "Well, our culture is to not let people burn their wives." But these women, they're not all women, but whatever that progressive thing is that doesn't have a position on like the pro-women's liberation and also don't want to talk about female genital mutilation. It's crazy. You have to like try and scoop out, if you will, your own culture, right? And then any big culture around you, you allow that to dominate you. It's like you're trying to make yourself a sub, but you can have it's this thought that you can become maybe more objective by by getting rid of your own cultural biases. But I think very quickly someone else's cultural biases just jump in on top of you.
Yeah, I think so.
Like that's not a stable position.
Well, also, it's like, if I like you're, technically they'd be like completely removed from it. So it's like if you're removed from the issue personally, you can just be like, it's not my place to say. And it's like, all right, well, just fucking leave me alone, bro.
Yeah.
Don't worry about my motherfucking masculinity or the fact that I'm getting jacked, dude.
It's our culture. Men go in their own way. There's a weird one. I think it's in Cameroon. I could be getting this wrong, but they have a chest flattening where they'll get a big iron and they'll iron down the tit so that you are made more flat.
Okay.
Like they sort of like binding. It's a form of like chest mutilation. Sort of what we're doing to little trans boys.
Yeah.
Where it's like, let's not let that
you tape them
get
up
away with it.
Yeah.
And what's weird about this is that the wealthier, more progressive, more Christian part of Cameroon does this.
Okay.
They're the ones who are doing the mutilating.
Nat Geo is going to go out of business. That's their whole business model. Showing titties. They figured out the loophole to show titties.
That's part of it. I think the Nat Geo people were causing a scene, and they don't want them. But that's why they're doing it.
No way.
That's what, not for Nat Geo, but because child brides are such a big thing. Like the second you hit puberty, they marry you, and so it's an attempt to like preserve the independence of their daughters. that you try and hide the physical development.
Like a Mulan.
Yeah.
Oh, because people will start like
they'll snatch you up.
It's like a 2012 Nissan. People start driving by and like, that's fucking nice. I could use that thing in my house.
No,
you're saying if your daughter starts to develop.
That's why you present with a bad car that you're gonna drive to the end.
You just flatten them up.
You flatten it. So it's feminist breast flattening.
So to save their daughters, they're just taking away
what the boys want.
Taking away their boobs.
Yeah.
But then what do they do to go on to go to college? I guess.
No, I think they probably just get married at 15 instead of 12. It's small steps, different cultures.
Does it irrevocably shrink their breasts up?
I don't think it's good.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
So all that has to go somewhere.
Maybe it's great when they finally grow, they never sag because there's structural scar tissue booked around it.
I think my parents did that to me.
What,
they bound my penis. I think I was binded from a young age. Now it's like just average.
Well, that's Chinese emperors have been doing that for many thousands of years to have a more aristocratic penis. How do you feel about talking to Oprah?
I would talk to Oprah.
Tick. Would you talk to Tom Cruise?
I'll talk to TC, yeah.
All right. Mel Gibson, I think, is a genuine...
That'd be great.
Genuine gettable.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Mel. Here's a big one. Doesn't do a lot of interviews. Fascinating history. I've heard you talking about the tea porn previously, and this man had a little trouble with the teas, I think, in the late 80s. But Eddie Murphy...
Yeah, I would love to talk to Eddie Murphy, but I don't think he would... I think he'd be kind of reserved about that. I heard a rumor he was too freaky for Scary Spice.
I believe it.
And again, rumors, just rumors. Just like Kamala Harris is drunk. I don't want to spread that, but I've heard she's an alcoholic, and I think. But no, I've heard he was too freaky for.
Well, she would be the most open to being freaky of all the Spices, I would think. If he was too freaky for Baby Spice, you'd go absolutely.
Yeah,
she's Baby Spice.
Posh, she'd be obviously.
Yeah, she's
sporty. We'll see. She could be kind of. I don't think she'd have time for that stuff.
That's Mel C. Or Mel B. I didn't know the Spice Girls were huge in America.
Huge.
That's great.
Yeah, they were enormous. But man. I mean, that would be cool. Eddie Murphy would be pretty sick.
Well, we'll pick. Some of these are more gettable than others, and it might just be. I mean, I can't. You have a huge, interesting platform of you have the biggest Patreon, you have the most engaged fan base of anybody. So energized community. So if any of these people, some of them. Like I was thinking, Francis Ford Coppola. He has a new movie out. He's a strange guy. The movie's doing really badly. It's getting pilloried.
What movie is it?
It's called Megalopolis. He sold $120 million worth of his vineyard to self-fund this movie because no studio would touch it.
What's it about?
It's about an architect played by Adam Driver who can control time for some reason. Sorry.
Did he curate Megalopolis?
Did he make Megalopolis? Yeah. He wants to make Megalopolis, but I think Lawrence Fishburne is trying to stop him. And the other thing is the whole story is the history of the Roman Republic. And also, it's very sexy sort of
what's the time? Is this futuristic or is it like...
Yeah, but magic future.
But based on the Roman Empire.
For decades. This is the film that he's wanted to make, and everyone has said, absolutely not. That doesn't sound like a movie. You've had a dream, Francis. And he said, Megalopolis! I will make it. So he's $120 million in the hole. No one wants to go and see his movie. No. That's the perfect time for Francis Ford Coppola to show up and have an interview with you.
I don't think I would help him at all. I don't think I would. It would be... I don't think it'll do him any.
You could say... Tell me about going insane during...
Megalopolis, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool, I didn't know about that. I kind of want to... The movie sounds good.
I would like to go and see it.
Is it out in theaters now?
Yes, if you'd like to go and see it. My wife doesn't want to go. I'd love to go and see Megalopolis. I pitched it to her and I was like, honey, people are walking out halfway through. He's losing hundreds of millions of dollars.
Is it like 4 hours?
Yeah, I think it is a 3-hour movie. Yeah. Shia's in it. Shia LaBeouf's in it.
What?
And Aubrey Plaza. And... so many big stars are in this movie.
Oh, so he spent $120 million.
Huge. People say it's visually incredible. It's shot for IMAX.
Yeah.
It got a long-standing ovation in Cannes from the people who hadn't walked out already. It seems like a very divisive movie. I want to like it so I can feel superior to people who don't understand it.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid that I'll hate it.
Yeah, sounds fucking sick. So he's just controlling time. And Lawrence Fishburne's like, don't you dare make Megalopolis. And he's like, I'm going to fucking
He's like, I'm going to build a utopian city. We have the technology with my magic glowing rod. I think Lawrence Fishburne is like, come on. Can we just have a normal city?
You stop controlling time, please, dude.
Yeah. And he's like half committing suicide and he's walking back onto buildings. It sounds like a film.
Sounds pretty good.
But he's not even on the list. But I'll tell you who is on the list, and I'll rattle these off. Lauryn Hill. If Lauryn Hill ever wants to come back, you could be the way forward for Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a lot to say to Lauryn Hill. She seems like a strange person.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. All these things of like, I always try to steer away from getting people for the sake of the fact that they're celebrities. I need to think that I can possibly vibe with them.
Okay.
If I can't possibly vibe with people, it's nothing against them. I'm just like...
Well, then I'm whittling down to the ones I think you could vibe with and who would be fascinating. That's great, because we've just crossed out Jackie Chan.
I could probably vibe with Jackie Chan.
All right, hold on. Jackie Chan's getting a...
Why don't you think I could vibe with Jackie Chan? Why don't you think I could vibe with Jackie Chan?
He's... All right, what I thought was exciting about... these aren't just famous people.
Sure.
None of these people do a lot of interviews, is one thing. And then they all have something weird about them. So Jackie Chan is a shill for the Chinese Communist Party.
Is he really?
Yeah, he loves that the Chinese Communist Party control people's lives. He says, Chinese people are too wild. We need to be controlled. And I thank the government for monitoring us.
Really?
And I think that would be an interesting chat.
That would be awesome, yeah. I also agree with him. I support them doing that just in China. But
all right, we're gonna put Xi Jinping on here.
I agree with him. I think Chinese people are out of control. I think they need excessive force at all times.
The nation long united must divide.
It's
long
so
divided
funny
must
that,
unite.
Bro, Chinese people are crazy, bro. Oh, they do have a pretty crazy history, though.
I think they'd like that. Because it's the opposite of the stereotype. I find if ever you lean into as though it were a stereotype, the opposite of someone's stereotype, in a way that seems true, they're very happy about it.
Yeah.
So like...
out of control.
Koreans are a big one, because everyone thinks Koreans mild, restrained, Asian, polite. If you go... Which is true. Koreans, you're insane. You just shout, you get drunk. Every party I'm at with Koreans, they're the ones having a big problem. Getting into... And they are so... They're like, oh, yes.
They like the bad boys.
Yes, we are. We are the bad boys of Asia.
You think that the bad boys of Koreans? Yeah, who would be the true bad boys of
North
Asia?
Korea is the bad boys of Asia.
That's true.
He's the loner. He's not like the cool guy. He's not the jock. He's smoking cigarettes in a leather jacket with a motorcycle. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess China could be the bad boys of Asia, because Japan is like the coolest. I've talked to a Korean guy about this, and he goes, Japan are easily like the coolest Asians.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, he was severe beef with the Chinese, just kind of like, yeah, I don't fuck with the Chinese at all. So that's one thing. I want to do Asian unity. If I could do anything, it'd be like coming together and just bringing like Chinese people and Korean people together and be like, guys, what the fuck? Why are you guys fighting?
Operation Asian Unity.
Dude, I was at a sushi restaurant last night and they had a non-profit. So if you ordered some certain sake, they were like a percentage of the profits go to a non-profit that is it's called like the Austin Tito Alliance.
Okay.
So the non-profit is to promote awareness of the city of Austin and the city of like Oedo, Japan. And that's what I could have funded this last night. I chose not to because I was like, I don't really see the point of that. But it's like it sends people to like people from Austin to Japan.
It's like a sister city.
Yeah, but they're just trying to raise awareness about these two cities.
I'll tell you something really strange.
Together.
Austin has that relationship with a lot of cities. I think they tried to become a cultural hotspot for a long time. Yeah. And they declared these are our sister cities. And the city I'm from, Adelaide, is one of those sister cities.
With Austin.
Austin and Adelaide. And so for years, Austin would, like, there were cultural emissaries going back and forth. We were on each other's websites. There would be little things about Austin. And we would hope little things about Adelaide in Austin. But when it came time for South by Southwest to open an Australian one, they went with Sydney. And we're furious with Austin as a town. That they did this whole, we're building an alliance, it's good. And then Sydney goes, I know you've got this relationship, but do you want some more money? And they went, yeah.
Yeah, Sydney was the obvious choice, though.
How dare you? How very dare you?
Come on, man. The numbers got to work.
We're trying so hard
Sydney's
to be
basically
cool.
Megalopolis.
Man, that harbour. I've forgotten that you'd gotten to see Sydney.
Yeah, Sydney's crazy.
It's the best one. Visually.
Adelaide's nice too, and I mean, you could pull it off, but it's like...
We have a big festival once a year. We have a fringe festival.
Okay.
That's so Adelaide is really well populated and full of people 2 months a year. And then it goes back to the way we like it.
Yeah,
with nobody.
The Fringe Festival's 2 months?
Oh, man. It's like 6 weeks, and there are other festivals. There's a big World Music Festival from Adelaide.
So you guys have the infrastructure to pull off South by Southwest?
We definitely do. It's all we do is have one big festival at a time.
So you guys want two?
We got greedy. We should be happy with what we've got. I'm going to get to the A-list people that I think you can get.
Let me hear.
All right. Britney Spears is free. She's free to talk to anybody. She's got a long, weird story. She's out of her
I want to talk to her father.
Perfect.
I'd like to interview a father.
Perfect.
And just, maybe he's not such a bad guy. And people paint him as like this big villain, but like...
Well, the second she was making her own choices, she was knife dancing with her clothes off.
Exactly.
Yes.
He probably feels bad that, that she got like sacrificed basically to like the child.
He offered up his daughter to Moloch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you do that.
Why you allow your children to become stars?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's like, again, you could probably make a fuck ton of money, but I don't think they were like poor. It's one thing if you're poor. I get it. If you're poor and you're like, look, I have 5 kids. I'm gonna just put one of them into like Nickelodeon's wood chipper.
I struggle with my middle child.
Yeah.
Because he, who I'm hiding from celebrity so much, we don't know his name.
True.
But he's so. Whenever we're at a group setting, even though he's stroppy and loud and has a lot of, he's very charismatic and he wins over everybody there. And a little part of me thinks, we could get you. You could act. He can follow direction. He's got big feelings.
Yeah.
People tell me anecdotes about him of all the children. Mm-hmm. And they can understand what he says. And my daughter, she's saying great things, but people, the speech impediment.
He pronunciates, yeah.
But I think a lot of my financial problems would go away if we started a TikTok for you. And I think that must be what people are doing.
Yeah.
They want to grift on their kids.
I think it's more unrealized dreams. I think it's kind of like people who are like, I didn't get to do this, but I'm going to make sure you do all the things you need to do from an early age to like guarantee.
I wanted to be 16 in my pajamas on Rolling Stone magazine.
Mm-hmm.
But my daughter's going to do
Yeah, dude. I think that's my theory. I think that's what happens.
Tennis, absolutely.
Yeah.
So many tennis dads.
I didn't realize how serious tennis was, man.
Oh, boy.
It's so fucking serious.
Yeah.
Like tennis schools and all that stuff.
Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you read Infinite Jest?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
where I became aware of it. Like, tennis was serious. I thought people just, like, fucked around and played tennis.
It looks so fun.
I know.
We're just having a little...
It's actually so hard. Did you ever try to play?
I'm terrible.
It's so hard. I've tried once, and I was like, this is not... It's like when someone's never played basketball. You're like, just...
Don't
if
even
you haven't
try.
played by a certain age, it's like, don't even...
But when you see what I like about basketball and tennis especially, but basketball deep into their 50s, people who you're just hanging out, and there'll be a hoop and a ball, and stuff, and you go, this is a whole part of you that I didn't know about. This is beautiful. You can keep doing this, and then the legs start going. But tennis, you can be 70 and still
play, yeah. Although it shreds your knees, man. That like side to side, stop and go.
Well, you start doing doubles and not having to move as much.
True, that's a good
But
point.
I feel people develop all those football skills. You're 23, football's finished.
Yeah.
For you.
You got to coach.
Almost always.
You got to coach.
You do have to coach.
But then,
and there are so many coaching roles.
Yeah, there are. But yeah, you're right. That is a. I don't know, man. I'm so nervous about that. Of like putting your kid into Nickelodeon. It must seem awesome, and your kid's probably pumped. But I guess they don't. They probably didn't know, obviously, that like with Nickelodeon
that would happen. I think they were Disney, the Disney people.
Yeah,
that mouse was getting up to some nefarious.
JT, Britney Spears.
Oh, so many. Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Christina Aguilera.
Yep.
There was a 5th one, and then this new generation. Chapel Roan wasn't. I don't think. I think she was a real person. But Sabrina Carpenter was in that world. Mm-hmm. Ariana Grande.
She was in that.
She was very sexualized as a child.
Really?
In one of their Disney shows, and there are weird compilations of a 15-year-old Ariana Grande being covered in slime, and like
that's
her
Nickelodeon.
Feet being
Nickelodeon.
That is Nickelodeon. Is that Nickelodeon?
That's Nickelodeon.
I don't know that any of these are looking out for the...
Yeah, Disney doesn't do slime.
Nickelodeon is also... They would have, like, slime in the plot somewhere.
Yeah.
And it wasn't... Yeah, slime, though, in Nickelodeon. Everyone getting slimed.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I was kind of like, yeah, it's it's a funny gag, but it's like, yeah, it puts you in a weird position because then as an adult, you have to be like, what do you think this is? Is this supposed to be like cum? And they're like, what, dude? What the fuck? And you're like, oh.
It's obviously meant to be cum. I said this about Billie Eilish over and over again.
Was she on Nickelodeon?
No, but she was...
Slimed?
Man, there would be video after... They would sexualize her as a child in a way that if you noticed it, you would seem like a pervert. But they were definitely doing it.
Yeah.
So, like, she would have baggy clothes, and they go, look at that. They're hiding her body. This is respectful. But then she'd wear, like, a necklace, the likes of which I've never seen, which is just one heavy chain going down the middle, isolating her huge child breasts. It was the only way to draw more attention to this child with breasts. Another one, every video, there are so many music videos where there's, like, something running down her face, and the camera's up here, and she's here, in a classic pornographic type video setup, and there's, like, she's got, like, black tears for some reason, or her nose is blue, but there's a liquid dripping on her face from that angle, and you go, that is not an accident.
Yeah, well, it's an ancient ritual. We've always taken, like the prima donnas from, like, a village.
Yes.
It used to be, like, you would, like, cut off their skin and wear it, so now we just kind of, like...
Return to tradition.
I think so. It's very... There's something ingrained in us to, like, prop up, like, one or two very young women and just, like, project their image.
The whole society is based around one woman.
Yeah, dude.
And then we too destroy that woman. If she doesn't walk away at the right time, we find a way to hate her.
You can't walk away. It's impossible to walk away.
I tell you who's walked away beautifully.
Who?
Margot Robbie.
I don't remember. Yeah, I know you're talking.
I think
fell off.
She's pregnant now.
Okay.
That's what you can do is you can start having children when you're like 31. That's it used to be 27, but with surgery now we can get you to 30. Sure, we can drag you through another couple of years. And then you've got to just never do media again until you come back as America's mom.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like fell off like teenage divas after like Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears. I kind of just like totally. I didn't know who Chapel Roan was.
It's only this.
She's pretty recent.
3-4 months that the album came out last year, and it's huge. She's
really.
Yeah, they're pushing.
What about Billie Eilish? Is Billie Eilish now like not a big
second album? Didn't have hits.
Yeah.
Just pleasantly off you go into the night.
Yeah, she's kind of gone. Yeah, but now it's Chapel Roan
It's Chapel Roan
should wise the fuck up, start walking the line.
I like that she's pushing back.
I know.
But even SNL went after.
I know. That's how I became aware of the whole thing. A whole force of their like propaganda machine.
Yeah.
It's like I think the Atlantic maybe wrote something about her. Like,
pull
can
your
she actually
fucking head in, Chapel Roan.
Bitch, I don't know. I could be wrong. It might not be the
We
Atlantic.
send you the emails in the morning.
But SNL coming down on her. How old is Chapel Roan?
She's I think 23.
All right, she's an adult. I thought she was like a teenager.
She's come in later. There were a couple of these that were. Charlie XCX was trying for a long time to be like they were pushing her for a long time, and then finally she's broken through.
Really?
And I tell you what, immediately after she had her big album, which was Brat, Kamala Harris, all of her youth.
Your knowledge of divas is crazy. Dude.
All of Kamala Harris's, when it overlaps with politics, I know about it.
True.
Also, I just know a lot about it. It was Brat. Brat was the whole thing. And it was like, and Kamala Harris's team came out and they changed all their logos to like the Brat branding. And they said, and then Charlie XCX came out and went, Kamala is Brat. And then another big step up for huge. Charlie XCX. Yeah. That was necessary. We'll give you a little credibility. Make sure you use it the right way.
Yeah, they called her Brat. She called Kamala Brat. She called Mamala Brat. And then Mamala was like, yes, you may pass. You may pass.
Yes, I am Brat.
Chapel Roan, dude. That's going to be... What's the weird thing, too, is they always have to have... There's, like... what would it be called? Like, teenage diva stardom is in phases where they have to eventually break out, and then they have this, like... I'm coming out as, like, a fully sexualized adult woman.
Yes, the whore phase.
Britney Spears
Miley Cyrus is the most notable one.
Yeah. Spears did it like crazy, man. She was, like, chained.
In a big way. Yep.
Yeah, that was... Aguilera was always kind of a nasty little slut, so I think that was fine.
Yes, they went for. She actually went the opposite way.
I'm not saying that too.
No, she came increasingly conservative.
Yeah,
because
I think
her big early on hits. It's like here are some trousers that show my vagina.
Yeah,
and I'm covered in oil with all these big gay men. That always does let it down.
I didn't know she flipped the script, so she became just kind of.
She was like singing. Her last few hits were like she was dressed very conservatively and singing like. Candy Man, sweet talk, like World War II style.
Oh, wow.
Very buttoned down conservative. No prude like an old whore, as the old saying goes. But Miley Cyrus had a I'm a Grown Up album before the one that everyone knew about that had a big flop. So she had Party in the USA that was like I'm a fun teen real person. Then there was an album nobody knows about where she tried to go a little bit dark.
It was like, was that the Wrecking Ball and all that stuff?
It was before Wrecking Ball. This was the attempt to do that in a normal way, and it failed spectacularly. And so rather than like they triple down. It's like you're in your underpants, you're licking stuff. That's who you are now.
Whoa!
And it really worked. I mean,
it did actually.
That was the biggest cultural moment, maybe of my lifetime. Was Miley Cyrus?
There was a letter from who the hell did? I think it was Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah,
wrote Miley Cyrus a letter and was like, "Dude, these guys are telling you what to do, are exploiting you, and they're gonna leave you in the dust once you turn a certain age." And
I think Sinead had entered her Muslim phase by that point.
True.
I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna finish it. You can give me yes, no's, and if anything jumps out, you can. I think Yoko Ono is my biggest one. Would be the most exciting. I think you see the thumbnail. Yeah. Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast, episode whatever it is,
Yoko
512. Yoko Ono, and she's sitting in a little wheelchair.
Is she that old?
She's very old.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want. I don't want an old lady in a wheelchair.
All right.
I'll put my foot down against that. That would be. I wouldn't feel great having her just in there.
She's the most exciting person, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I love. She's a great poet, great visual artist.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know much about her. See, you should interview her. I don't know much about her. I don't know.
Well, some of this started off as my list.
Yeah.
And I just can't get Yoko. Now, I think the Dalai Lama, as a spiritual guy, would be sick. And I think you would be able to push him, because you also know a lot of the Dalai Lama, the jagged edges that groovy people don't like to talk about with the Dalai Lama. Yeah. Treatment of the ladies, kissing that boy.
What was the ladies? I saw him kiss that boy.
I think sometimes the Dalai Lama will just go, women need to shut up.
Okay.
So you wouldn't even have to really press him on it. You could just say,
yeah, like, what's up
tell
with
me
that?
more about this interesting Eastern philosophy.
He says that. He's like, women need to just be quiet.
And they don't like talking about it outside of...
I know what you're saying. They want like His Holiness. Whenever I hear people refer to the Dalai Lama like that, I'm always kind of like, what are you up to?
Why are you sucking up to the Dalai Lama?
Yeah, why are you sucking up to the Dalai Lama? Like, I don't know. I think he's cool, I guess. I don't know anything about him, but I don't really know why. When people are like His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, I'm like,
I think he's gettable.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But I would have him on. I don't. Again, I have no allegiance to the Dalai Lama whatsoever.
That's very important. You maintain that position if we're to get Jackie Chan on the show.
That's true.
I mean, Ellen DeGeneres is looking to humanize herself again.
Really?
Yeah. She had a comedy special and she just come out.
Yeah.
She talks a lot about everyone hates me. I was a toxic boss. I think
I was on her side during that. I would love to have Ellen on. That'd be great. Because honestly, I was bullshit. They were like, she's mean. It's like, dude, she's running a fucking multi-million-dollar organization. It's like, go get her coffee and shut the fuck up, dude.
No one will take that stance at the top level except for you. You are the perfect person. If Ellen's looking to rehabilitate herself and connect with a new post-woke fan base.
True. I'm Team Ellen right now, dude. I'm obviously Team... Just because I don't really know much about her, but I know... She was painted in kind of an unfair light.
Yeah.
Like, she's mean.
Whenever it's an abuse thing and it's not sexual, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was like, she's mean to you.
Jeffrey Tambor shouted at people on set. I think he did some other stuff too.
Really?
But that's what originally people were angry about, is he made the girl who got coffee cry. And it's like, all right, so what, he's a 50s dad? I mean...
What else did he do that was so bad?
I think he was... rubbing up on people
He was rubbing up on people.
Yeah, there was some rubbing up, I believe.
Yeah, you got to pick one or the other. You can't be like an angry guy making people cry and rubbing up on people. That's kind of untoward.
Well, that's why you should have the anger, so you don't have to rub up on people.
Exactly.
It's a healthy
Keep them all at bay. Yeah, he should. They should have just went with just being like absolutely mean and terrible.
I think this is why the left wants everybody masturbating to drain men, and so that we're all more relaxed and more compliant in society.
Yeah, I could see that.
If I wanted a population I could control, they would be stoned and have come 10 hours ago, minimum.
Yeah, true. Although, yeah, but the weed is tricky because then people get, like, pretty far out. When you're, like, smoking a ton of weed, you get really, like, yo, who's even in charge of this right now?
But you don't necessarily do something about it.
Yeah, true.
Whereas if people drink and smoke cigarettes, they're ready. True. Once the weed guy tells them who to... Where is he?
That's fair. Yeah, I'm scared of the weed now. It's too strong, man.
Is the legal weed very strong? Or have they...
All of it is, but you can get it now. They're finally walking it back where you can get it where it's like not that strong and it's very, very pleasant. Doesn't send you into like a mild episode of psychosis. It just genuinely like relaxes you and you can just kind of sit there pretty clear-headed and just like
I'm seeing that every hotel I go into now will have... Every fancy hotel, if I'm on the road and I'm lucky enough to get to stay in a fancy hotel, there will be a canister of CBD somewhere.
Like in the cream, you're saying?
Like some sort of like oil or a biscuit, just something to be like.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Calm yourself down.
Kind of like a relaxer.
Yeah. Here's the wine. Here's the CBD.
So they're starting to kind of like take the CBD is what they call like the hemp plant. So they're starting to just like cross it with regular weed now. So that rather than it being like 33% THC, it's coming in at like 9% and then like 10% CBD. And it's just very like relaxing. It's like an CBD's like it's the rest of it is the bulk weight of the flower, I guess. So it's like the plant material. But it's they're finding it. They're starting to make it now where it's like actually like relaxing and not. It's going like full circle. It's going back to like the original way it was.
Just 60s guys sitting around talking to each other.
Yep. Just kind of chilling, not like.
Well, that's why I never touched it because I was afraid of the. My mum told me that we had schizophrenia in the family. Mm-hmm. I since found out that's not true, and there was maybe one grandmother who had some postnatal depression. But that was the technique.
You've never smoked weed before?
No, never.
You've never gotten high?
No. Well, not off marijuana. There was definitely a phase where it's not like I'm a big straight edge person.
For sure.
There was a huge codeine and wine binge.
Yeah.
Which is way worse for you than marijuana, I believe. Yeah. But no, I never. I went to a big weed high school. Mm-hmm. And even uncool people, just weed was everywhere, and so I never. I never got into it.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, man. It's one of those things that like, I smoked a lot of weed when I was growing up, and it is like it's weird because it can like kind of. It's not like you're not like apparently like that fucked up. Yeah. Like if you're like doing tons of like opiates or like meth, you're like people are like, yo, dude, something's wrong with you. Yeah. With weed, it can kind of like tilt you a little bit. Slightly that like it's not noticeable, but after like 10 years you're like, damn, that guy's fucking weird as shit. Kind of like tilts your ship like 2 degrees. So over the course of time you just get kind of like
it's a slow moving.
Yeah, it can be. And then some people I know are like lawyers that just like vape weed all day and just can kind of hone in.
I'm finding this of cocaine people as well, where in the movies cocaine was always like it's Tony Montana, and it's going to drive him to be in love with his sister and shoot up the government and also run the drug trade. But I know so many people who do a little cocaine all of the time. Yeah. And they're just sort of on top of things. Yeah. It's a very businessy drug.
Very businessy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm terrified of it, though.
Oh, it scares the heck out of me.
Terrified of cocaine.
But I look forward to being a heroin man towards the end, like the grandfather.
That'd be nice.
What's it called? Little Miss Sunshine.
Pull like a straw hat down, just kind of. That'd be nice.
Smoking black tar heroin with my family all around me.
That'd be awesome.
Grandpa's taking it easy. This is my plan. Look, that's most of the people on the list, except for. Now I wonder. There are some controversial people that I wonder with the Ellen one, if you too would have the interesting take. So, like, where are you at on Lance Armstrong?
Cool. Lance, yeah. Is he controversial?
Not Neil Armstrong.
No, Lance. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Well, because he took all those drugs and the oxygen. That's what I like.
Everybody did that.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, where can he go to have the common sense conversation at a top level about how everyone was taking him and you're the man?
Yeah, I think the guy after he got didn't like this first like 3 people or
it's
whatever.
like the 25th guy in the competition ends up with the medal.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And that's probably just because no one bothered to test the 25th guy.
I know. Yeah, Lance Armstrong. He's a friend of the podcast.
Is he a friend of the podcast?
Yeah. He reached out one time. We were talking about him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he reached out and was like, yo. He retweeted or like reshared a clip of us talking about him. He's already, the roads are paved to Lance Armstrong.
Well, maybe you could help me get Lance Armstrong. I'd love that. Where did you come down in the Depp-Heard feud? Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Depp, boys versus girls.
Yeah.
Depp, yeah.
Yeah, that isn't easy.
Yeah, Depp. All day long.
But I think he's back. I think he's been normalized now.
He won. That was kind of not like good for him. He didn't.
That was a huge victory.
Yeah, it was kind of huge for all mankind.
Yeah.
That was a big victory.
I've got one friend who is like a men's rights activist type guy, and he did a very deep dive on it, and he is a pro-Heard person. He's like, I think she was telling the truth, and she's been monstered, and we needed a woman to take a fall for the society to be neutral again, but we might have got the wrong lady. So I'd be interested to hear his views. I don't agree necessarily. I don't know enough about it.
No, that's interesting. That he was actually a monster.
Maybe he was. He thinks that he was a monster, but everything else in his politics would lend you to think.
Yeah, he'd be Team
Depp.
Yeah,
but he's not.
Well,
and he started out, I think, Team Depp, and then really did the research and fell down the pro-Amber YouTube video essays.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
Now, how do you feel about Gucci Mane?
I like Gucci Mane.
Have you read the Gucci Mane's Guide to Greatness?
I didn't read it.
He's got philosophy.
I didn't read it.
Do you know about his philosophies?
No, I have his autobiography, but I haven't read that yet.
His follow-up book, where he gives
the
rules for life, Guide to Greatness.
How is it? Did you read it?
I read it.
How'd you like it?
I disagree with a couple of things, because he's ultimately a pragmatist, but no one sums up materialist conservatism better than Gucci Mane.
Nice.
He's like, I'm not having kids until they make me money. Used to be you'd have kids, work out, send them to the factory, they add an asset to your household. Now children are taking away.
So he wants to figure out how he can monetize his kids.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
It's interesting.
He can feed. He's in a position he could turn them all into little actors and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to think of a man with a huge ice cream and a lightning bolt on his cheek who's really turned it around now and is like very fit and healthy.
Yeah.
Talking about how to optimize your credit.
It's kind of nice.
With the ice cream, though.
There's a lot of those dudes kicking around, though. They're like...
Waka Flocka Flame. I've seen him talking about the importance of straightening out your credit.
Yep. Yeah, well, there's just a lot of guys in general who are hitting that, like... was addicted to drugs, now, CEO, business motivator,
yes.
blah, blah, blah. That's like a...
That homeless guy that you spoke to, the ex-homeless guy.
Yeah.
I'm getting his book.
Yeah.
I think
it's great.
I'm looking forward to it. He's wonderful. But just the...
Yeah, Jared Klickstein.
Oh. You're a very good interviewer.
But he's not a...
You got that? I mean, he was also a good guest.
He's a great guest. He's not like a motivational... He's more of a memoirist.
You make a good point.
So I'm talking about like guys who are like... I think what it is you get off of drugs, you become a motivational speaker, and then open your own rehab. That becomes kind of like a... And it's... whatever. Some people need to do it. I'm not against it.
No, but it means you have an angle for when you have credibility on how to...
You can also make a fuck ton of money because there's no shortage of people on drugs, and they need to figure something out. I was talking to Spud recently, and he said he saw like Tucker talking live. It was like Tucker Jones.
Yes,
and he was talking like Tucker was talking about how like when someone's addicted to drugs, like he was like kind of flaming the Democrats. He was like their policy being like, we'll just like give them needles and give them a space to do drugs. He was like, nobody would do that for their own family member. He's like, you would never, if you love somebody, you wouldn't give them more drugs and more needles. You would.
No, you want to strap them to a table and say you're not on heroin anymore.
Yeah, stop doing that. I just thought that was interesting to be like, that's not something you do when you love somebody. You would never give your kid, if your kid was on heroin, you'd never be like, yeah, here's needles.
I just want you having the heroin in the house where it's safe.
We're gonna set up a little room for you to shoot up.
But this is the divorce of like, I don't know when this started. The neocons are really big on this, where it's like everything has to be free market and very cutthroat, and everyone look out for yourself. Yeah. Also, the family is a huge exception. But I think before then, certainly like the Catholic social teaching model was like, it just goes out in levels of care. I mean, like the whole world should become your family. You should treat you shouldn't in business, you shouldn't act in a way that you wouldn't want to. If you were dealing with somebody, that's the way you do business with your son or your brother.
Yeah.
Like this ripping people off if you give someone a loan and they can't pay it, just forgive it and talk to them and move past it. And even then, when you give them a loan, you shouldn't charge interest for that loan. You shouldn't you shouldn't buy everything up and rise the price. And the fact that you can have like family values and still do, and like destroy the society that you're in, that your family then has to grow up in, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
You have to roll deep as one big crew.
It's true. That's a good point.
But I think Tucker is pushing against that. He's definitely...
he is. I think he is. I think he makes a lot of sense, man. I like Tucker. I'd love to have Tucker on. That'd be a nice one.
Tucker would be...
He'd be good.
Also very...
He's pretty far out, too, man. He's, like, real into, like, interdimensional spiritual beings and stuff.
With he and Alex Jones, the second they just... I love that they seem nuts when people go, these guys are... And you dig into it, and they're actually, like, thoughtful people who have some foundational beliefs that are, like... Yeah, they believe in interdimensional beings of some kind. Like, Alex Jones is the obvious one where, like... He believes in higher vibrations and lower vibrations. This is not just like... He's not Bill O'Reilly. These people are painted as being like... grifting people. They're... When Tucker was talking about aliens and how he believes in interdimensional hovering things and like... It's so congruous with him being a deadhead. It's like, this is not a grift. This is a very strange person.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the man.
That's not bad to be a strange, but it's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I remember, like, Ben Shapiro is the opposite to that, I think, where Ben Shapiro, everything that he believes, he can really stand by and say, like, well, I believe this for this reason. And Tucker seems to come back to mystery over and over again. It's like, because it's beautiful. Yeah. Because I love family. Because the world is an incredible place.
Yeah, true.
And you can, man, I'm just going to quickly check. Bob Dylan, I think would be great. No.
Too old.
Too old.
I'm very ageist.
You wouldn't talk to Dolly Parton, America's mother?
Nope.
You wouldn't talk to Stevie Wonder?
No.
Okay. Well, that's it. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India.
Yes, I would talk to the Prime Minister of India.
All right, so who do we have? So we have Jackie Chan, Lance Armstrong, Tom Cruise, Oprah, and Mel Gibson. Those are all still yeses? Or are you going to scrap
I would take off Tom Cruise and Oprah now, actually. Now that I think about it.
Mel's a yes.
Yeah.
Eddie's out. Johnny Depp.
In.
All right. Yoko's out. Hold on.
Out.
Clarence Thomas is out. I still think you would have a fun vibe.
I would do Thomas. Thinking back on it, I would do Thomas.
CT. All right. Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, for sure.
Bang. No Streisand. No Dylan. Britney's dad.
Britney's dad, her father. I'd only interview her if her father was present.
Well, that would be the most exciting piece of television anyone had ever achieved. Ellen DeGeneres is in.
Totally
I'm thrilled by that.
Totally
I think of all of these that I could go. I'm gonna start sending some emails out this week.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen could really happen.
Dude, Ellen, that actually would be pretty sick. And honestly, it's like I don't know. She's also boys with George Bush, weirdly, which apparently George Bush now is like a saint of like, he's like, the liberals like prop him up now. It's like he was the last great Republican president, which is kind of weird.
I just remember him being called a Nazi a lot by everybody.
No, now he's like...
Now he's Michelle Obama's hugging him.
Exactly.
They're watching baseball together.
He's like the old guard. Yeah, he's like the old guard. Yeah, but I'd like to have Ellen. I could talk to Ellen DeGeneres.
I got to say, the more I find out about the war in Iraq, the less I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I was all for it when I was 11.
Really? I don't remember being very gung-ho about it. I remember just being kind of like, oh, no.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
No, my dad was all for it, and we were Unitarians, and we left the church because it's just like a very wishy-washy, nothing place. But then they were all like anti the liberation of Iraq. That was a big part of it. Yeah. In our household, we called it the liberation of Iraq.
So Iraqi freedom, yeah, that was the operation.
With the coalition of the willing, which I just found out that Canada wasn't in.
Really?
Yeah. It's bizarre. They went to Afghanistan, but some of them went to Iraq, but not Afghanistan. Like the Poles didn't want to get involved in Afghanistan, but they joined up for Iraq.
Yeah.
Australia went to both. We
respect.
We did all the war crimes you needed us to do. Some of that's coming out now.
If you have been enjoying this episode so far, why not join the James Donald Forbes McCann Catamaran Plan Patreon?
It is a very good Patreon.
You know what I'm reading right now? Bertrand Russell's autobiography.
Oh, how's that?
It's pretty great. It's pretty.
I think I bought it, but I never read it.
It's pretty great, man. It's just him, just like as a young boy, just like he starts off being like really young, and just like the huge letdowns of his life, which is funny because like his parents die early.
Yeah,
so
and he's raised by his grandfather, right?
Yeah, and it's like great aunts or whoever, and then but like he like kind of glosses over his parents dying because he's going by his memory, so he's like, I just all of a sudden I'm in this place, and he was like at one point one of like the biggest blows to his like child psyche, which is really funny, is he was told he was mating a lion. They're like, we're gonna bring a young lion, but the guy's name was Lyon. So as a little boy, he was expecting like all weekend to see a lion, and then he got there and like, oh, this is this guy Sir Lion. And he was like, fuck.
That devastated him for the rest of his. I don't remember my parents at all, but I remember that distinctly.
And then there was I think a doctor who told him that after he got a shot or something, he was going to get a sponge cake. And he had only had cake twice in his life before that. And he said it was an absolutely like sublime, transcendent experience. And then after he got like whatever medical thing done, he was like, where's my cake, sir? And the guy was like, the fuck out of here. And he said that like completely fucking devastated him. So they were like some of his hardships.
I'm tell you that
he wasn't allowed to eat fruit either.
One of my hardships is the same. I want to talk about the fruit. But I was at an agricultural fair as a young boy in Adelaide. And they were looking for volunteers to come up onto the stage. That's how they said it. And they said, we need to get some kids up on this stage. Who's a kid who wants to come up on the stage? And I was like, please, I would love to.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, you guys are children. We need a kid. And they brought out like a kid goat. And one of my I sometimes wake up at night thinking about how angry I am that I thought I'd get to go up on stage, and he brought out a fucking goat. A goat. What happened with the fruit? He was never allowed to eat fruit?
Yeah, apparently among the like I guess like the elite British, and like I think it was some period in the 1800s when he was alive, or when he was a little kid. They like the late 1800s, but they thought it was unhealthy for kids to eat fruit. So he was almost on like a ketogenic diet as like a little kid.
Okay. They thought it was unhealthy for children to eat fruit?
Yeah, they thought it was unhealthy, but like he had like servants and stuff. Because he was from like a lord's house.
Yeah.
So like a lot of like the Irish servants would like slip him apples and like here as like a treat, and
these cheeky Irish scoundrels.
Just gorge himself on. But he said,
but you know why they were doing it? They were doing that to destroy the British aristocracy with fruit. If we feed their children fruit.
Yeah, he would just munch apples like secretly, and he had like almost like a rabbit den. He like had dug a hole in the ground where he would take like servant girls when he was like still a really little kid.
What, he would like
kiss
fool
each
around
other
with
and, like,
servant
touch
girls?
their boobs and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. And then,
that's great because he seems so dry as an old man.
Dude, he lived a very passionate life. He thought about suicide all the time.
Yeah.
Constantly thought about killing himself.
As a little boy?
Yeah, as a little boy, he couldn't open up to anyone around him. Because he said that
this is much better than I thought. I thought
it's pretty great. Some of it's kind of dry, and he goes through like his struggles with like his worldview early on, and like
because he becomes a atheist.
Yeah.
Fairly early, and I think holds to that pretty dogmatically.
He believed when he was younger. He believed that God created the physical laws, the scientific like physical laws of the universe, and then just kind of abandoned humanity to like live in this like physical plane.
Maybe the least
so he
happy
believed in God
worldview.
For a while, but he believed in
to
God.
Believe in a transcendent, all-powerful God who just doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
That's so much worse than there's nothing out there. You have it literally, but that would also make sense of his childhood, right? Like, what's his view of God? Literally, a father. Like, he had a father. My father's not here. Mm-hmm. I just have the world and the life my literal father gave me.
Yeah, well, there's a huge pressure to like be super scientific. If you walked around as a teenager back then, you're like, I strictly look at the world as objective phenomenon. People are like, dude, you fucking rule. It was like very rebellious and cool to be like, it's all I believe in is physical phenomenon.
Well, I think they hadn't been. The First World War hadn't confronted them at that point.
True.
If I'm getting his
right.
timing right, and so it was like. You in your lifetime, you saw trains exist for the first time.
Yeah.
You saw people not dying of smallpox. Mm-hmm. I was like, if we just keep this literal train going of progress,
his brother became a Buddhist.
We're all still going to be happy.
Excommunicated his brher.
He excommunicated his brother.
His family was just like, we're not fucking talking to him
because his brother became a Buddhist.
Yeah, it was just so weird back then. He was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So they were like, fuck that guy. Stop talking to him. It's a weird time to read about. The late 1800s are so bizarre.
Yeah.
I'm like,
no one's talking about sex. Sex is very.
If you were like attracted to your wife sexually back then, it was kind of like what are you, a pervert? It was like, you guys should just be like begrudgingly united to
poke it through a sheet.
Yeah, for your country.
But then I think the aristocrats would like pretend to be like that, so that the middle classes would behave sexually, and then they would all secretly be going around and having beautiful.
I haven't got to that part yet.
Oh,
but he stopped masturbating when he was 20. He quit. He was masturbating, and he quit when he said he's a ghastly habit.
And he never did it again?
He claims he quit. He like did it as it was like a boyish thing for him. He was like, yeah, it's like what boys do. But he said he would like sit there and try to study mathematics and just be like, oh, and he would get so fucking torqued up that he would have to just like rub one out. And he was like, eventually.
I think we've all been there.
But he quit. It was like something like little boys did that was very shameful.
Something about that late 19th century anti-masturbating. Mm-hmm. Have you heard? You know about Kellogg's?
Yes.
All right.
That's why.
So interesting. Would you tell us?
That's why cornflakes were invented.
Because a hearty breakfast gave you too much energy to masturbate.
Yep.
And so you needed a gruel-like breakfast so you wouldn't masturbate.
Yeah.
And then later in life, I think he would like sew a metal wire around boys' genitals.
Did he really?
So that if they had an erection, it was very painful and they wouldn't want to it's not ideal. A lot of those early monopolists for products were doing weird. The Coca-Cola guy, I think, maybe it was Colgate, was trying to use the money to communicate with the dead. That was the whole point of Colgate.
Sense. Yeah, because in the 20s, too, were very mystical.
Yeah.
You get a lot of guys like Goddard and all those other guys who were like, I think he was around the 20s, but they were like very mystical, like business. There's a lot of business books written in the 1920s that are very like, have like a mystical bent to them, and like your mind can do anything. And like, before it was like, shut the fuck up, you're a shitty peasant, and then people were like, your mind's actually an unlimited blah blah blah.
Well, who's the guy from that time who's the first big Satanist who? Do you know who I'm talking about? Like
I don't know his name. I thought he was in LaVey? Not LaVey. I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up, but there are like a lot of people connected to a prominent Satanist then, and about it's weird how many times it happens that there's an Apollonian movement and then the Dionysian. That would be how Nietzsche would say it, but like you have a romantic movement that springs up against everything being ordered and under control.
Yeah.
So I found out about the Sacred Heart of like the flaming heart in his chest, and it's like a lady has a vision in whatever the mid 1800s.
Yeah.
But she's opposed to all this like Protestantizing and rationalization. It's like we shouldn't have so many idols and weird pictures. This is upsetting people as Catholics, and then that whole weird romantic wing takes over. It's like, no, a heart that's on fire. This is cool. It's like mystery and the surreal, and like they try and incorporate that. But then it came so late. Like I would have thought that was like some sort of medieval thing.
I didn't know that was from.
No, it was one of the first big pushbacks against the materialist worldview.
It's kind of sick.
I'm all about it. And then I guess to some extent we see that now. Like the 60s were very loosey-goosey and open up your mind, Age of Aquarius.
Yeah.
That very quickly turns into the
80s.
70s, 80s. Put on a suit,
Greed
get
is
it
good.
done.
Yeah, the Gordon Gekko stuff.
Meet the physical pleasures.
I think we're completely disjointed now. I think like the post all that stuff, it just doesn't make any sense now.
I wouldn't know what the culture was now.
There's a lady dressed in like a trash bag who won't support the Democrats. And they're like, we should be nice to her, but also fuck her. And you're like, whatever.
Well, this is the problem with the fragmented. If you have a monoculture, it can go through waves and people can experience these things together. But with the media cut up into a million different little parts, we're all experiencing the same events, but there's no like one cultural big wave. I mean, there are people who come here and they sell out the big theaters who are comedians in the industry that I'm in, who I have never heard of before.
Yeah.
And then I watch it, and sometimes it's great, and I go, why didn't I know about this? But most often I go, I don't understand why this is.
Yeah.
None of the cultural points that you're touching on mean anything to me.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to know about Chapel Roan.
True.
Just feel the zeitgeist for a moment.
True. I'm bad with that. I got to get back into the... I tried to read the news.
Chapel Roan would be a very good guest.
They won't do it. Chapel... I mean, I think they have no interest in it whatsoever, but I'm saying there's no way. It would be... It wouldn't be. I wouldn't even advise it.
I think Chapel Roan might.
I wouldn't want
to
see.
I
wouldn't want to see SNL fall on. No. She could go either way.
I think you get to a certain point, and you go, "I thought you'd all have my back. Aren't we all groovy progressives together?" No.
Yeah.
This is a corporate line. maybe she takes that pill. She goes full trad wife. Comes out the other side.
That would be pretty cool.
It's just an idea, Chapel.
True. Or is she gay? She's a lesbian, right?
If she's a she, I don't know, but I think definite lesbian.
Lesbian, okay. Yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, I wouldn't want like SNL to come down on her again. Also, I don't think it would even do anything. I think she would be on and people like, that was weird. I think you're overestimating my cultural reach.
The cultural reach of SNL to attack?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about mine. I don't think it even matter.
Matt, that's not true. I've walked through an airport with you. You are Oprah to these
one day
young people. Well, that's what I believe. You have the capacity to be the great interviewer of the time. And I won't make this drag on for more than an hour and a half.
Perfect.
But I want to thank you for coming on the pod.
Thank you so much, man.
It's been a real joy.
Appreciate you, bro.